Hello everyone, this is Crota giving you a shoutcast between RenieHour and Cutter here on Blistering Sands. This is the second game that I'm casting. These are all practice matches between RenieHour and Cutter. These are some semi-pro Korean StarCraft players that I was able to get a handle or hand on. I believe they're part of Team Zenith. Once again, special shout out to Team Zenith for giving me some of their replays. Also, this shoutcast is sponsored by lucomputers.com. Go ahead and check out their website for StarCraft 2 tested computers. Now, already very early, we see some very early scouting coming in between the SCV, Stevie the SCV, and Peppy the Probe. Peppy the Probe now pulling away, perhaps going to try to do some some sort of proxy pylon. I could imagine some sort of pylon here and then a warp gate here and here, but no, not going to happen. As this SCV now running on through this base, not exactly sure why Cutter wants to scout out this early. There is no really revealing issues in the tech or the strategy of RenieHour at this early in the game. Already an early probe though, now harassing this SCV. SCV already down to 5 hit points, Mega taken down, and now a hero Peppy Probe able to escape with 5 hit points and no shields. Those shields should quickly regenerate. We should probably see Peppy the Probe run back in and now start harassing the SCV that's currently building this barracks. So that's going to be a very, very difficult situation for him over here. Let's see if he's going to go ahead and do it. Yeah, going to go ahead and try to go after this SCV. No, just going to go ahead and run straight on in and get a sight. Wants to see if there's any sort of gas being laid down yet. No gas just quite yet. Cutter should be getting a refinery in just mere moments, unless he's trying to go mass Marines, which I cannot suspect that he's going to try to do. Cutter now getting that early refinery as this probe pulling away down to 15 shields and 5 hit points. Over here, we do have the assimilator now already coming into play. A gateway now being warped in as well. We should probably see a cybernetics core just in case of any sort of Reaper opening, but that Gase was significantly delayed, so that Stalker will not need to be chrono boosted. As this Marine's now being trained up, that Stalker, yeah, where's that cybernetics core? There it is, and we now doesn't need to chrono boost. That Stalker should just be able to train that, train these probes and continue to chrono boost as well. But no, not going for the economic opening. Sitting on 17 harvesters compared to 14. As this probe still running around inside this base, there is one SCV that has finished blocking this front door, so this probe is here for life. But throwing down an assimilator, so that assimilator will now be a very, very large bane or in that whole entire base right there. Very nicely done, juking out this one probe. The probe just juking out, playing hide and go seek with the Marine. Marine now trying to pull away and unable to really catch that probe. Probe down to 8 hit points. Continuing to pull back and forth. Will that probe get oh, now a pylon there. So now this Marine going to be forced to deal with this pylon as there's an assimilator block on his natural gas. So great play by Cutter. Or great play by RenieHour against Cutter at this stage. As this pylon continuing to be warped in over here. Will he cancel? Yeah, gonna go ahead and cancel it there, and then distract that Marine for quite some time. We do have Marauders now being trained up, and now an extra barracks being thrown down before a factory. So, what exactly is RenieHour doing? RenieHour now throwing down a robotics facility, so a 2-gate into a robo facility will help him out very, very much. Assimilator with that crazy 900 hit points, able to take a lot of damage from the Marine and early SCVs. So the assimilator blocking takes extra long if you drop it against a Terran or a Zerg player. So highly suggest it unless you're playing me. Don't use it against me. Assimilators still being shot down, and as a Terran player, you really hate to see your gas get blocked like that. But with that, Cutter or RenieHour should know that Cutter is being forced to train a lot of Marauders, or doing some sort of early expansion, since he is going to be gas locked, and it looks as though he is trying to go for a reactor and trying to go for Marine Marauder, since he does have that extra amount of minerals. You can see the discrepancy in the harvester count, but Cutter has more in terms and more minerals per 60 game seconds just because of the mule and because he's not mining any gas. Down goes this assimilator now finally getting taken down. Down it goes, and should be placing down a refinery in mere moments. No, not placing the refinery down. And it was dedicated to this whole entire Marauder Marine build, and is going to continue to train up those units. We already see RenieHour now with a stronger economy throwing down a sentry and now setting up this natural expansion over here. We do have immortals now, one immortal now being trained as this observer is moving out. We should probably see some chrono boost on this robotics facility, as immortals really love chrono boost, able to come out in about 35 or 37 no, I think it's 35 units a time or 36 units a time, if my math is correct. Back over here, we have Marauders and Marines continuing to push out. One Immortal coming in army-wise. However, RenieHour very, very light in this army count, sitting on 2 sentries and 1 Immortal with... that is it. And now more Zealots and Sentries coming in, canceling this all-important Nexus because he sees this army. So gonna grab those minerals very, very early. And now we see the power of the Terran range units able to take down these destructible rocks. Observer now moving over as well. Is he gonna Chrono Boost another Immortal? It needs the Chrono Boost, needs to try to get as many units as possible. Another Immortal would be absolutely critical. And now needs to get within that range before those Marines are able to push through. And there we go. And using that force field, really brilliantly done, as those Marines are unable to come in anymore. Also, Immortal now taking down a lot of damage as well. Then finally, that last Immortal there is 1 Immortal stuck between 2 shields as more units coming in from behind. Oh, and was a great use of that force field there, trying to use that Zealot to block that Marine from being able to escape, getting a force field and then warping in a unit on the ramp. Not allowing that Marine to be able to pull out. But there is a Nexus being placed down over here by RenieHour, and I do not believe Cutter knows about that Nexus just quite yet. If you take a look at the Harvester count, 28 to 27, more Immortals being trained up, and all of this off of a 2-gate and 1 Robo Bay. So a very, very heavy army very early on, and now in comes this fight. Another force field being thrown down, splitting up these units. 1 Marauder stuck between a force field and a force field, gonna continue to take that damage. 1 Marauder now trying to push on up. An Immortal gonna be able to come in, but yeah, these Marines should not be trying to engage any longer. Now we need to be forced to pull away. They do have Stim Pack going for them and able to run and move away very, very easily. There is another Nexus over here. Do we see any probes being transferred? No probes being transferred, as RenieHour now going into a 3-gate, perhaps some sort of 4-gate build. So as we have a 4-gate build now, Stalkers and Immortals with Sentries sitting over here. A lot of Marines sitting down here as Cutter has established his natural expansion and is now sitting at 1,400 minerals every 60 game seconds. So every game minute, he is getting about 800 minerals more than his opponent, RenieHour. Trying to use Chrono Boost, trying to get a stronger economy going. Really needs to be careful about this because this expansion is very, very exposed. Lucky for him, he still has this probe sitting here. Perhaps just throw down a pylon here and be able to warp in units as well. Stalker grabbing this Xel'Naga Watchtower, as now army-wise, RenieHour sitting on 1450 compared to Cutter's 1250. Back over here, we still have the Observer just running around, able to get sight into the base. Now going into the 1-1 build, finally getting that, getting the medevac. And now with Cutter investing so heavily into an infantry army, I'm surprised RenieHour has not started building a robotics bay for those colossi. Those colossi very, very strong against those infantry units that really like to bundle up together and share that thermal lance damage. Over here, Marines, a lot of Marines as well, and finally getting that combat shield. Production wise, you can see a Ghost Academy now being thrown down, 1 Forge and 1 Twilight Council. Medevac gonna go ahead and heal up some of those Marines that were in that earlier fight there, but no weapons upgrade. So very, very curious. And now we already see those units moving away over there. Observer deciding to pull back. Cutter trying to feint that he has enough energy for a scanner sweep. Another probe sitting right there, and yeah, as that probe is barely flickering, you have to barely see it. I don't know if you can see it on your screen, but I can see it on mine since I know where to look. But I don't think Cutter knows about the observers in his bases. There is no Starport now getting a reactor, so there are no, detectors in the base of Cutter at this stage in the game. And now with the supply depot over here, both players just trying to get a very, very strong economy. We'll see. Does Cutter suspect that there's an expansion here? Cutter most likely suspects that there's an expansion down here, but unbeknownst to him, there's already an expansion up here. And if this would be a great transition into some sort of mech build, trying to grab some siege tanks to join in on this fight. We got to see a robotics facility sometime. No, going for a Templar Archives. Okay, so the Templar Archives using Psystorm instead. And now RenieHour going to be running off of a 6-gate... a 6-gate build with most likely a lot of Templar, with a lot of High Templars. Needs to get another refinery, or sorry, another assimilator over here in order to get extra gas, as those High Templars cost a large amount of gas to be warped in. So Yeah, now probably going to be upgraded to, already upgraded to warp gates, so we'll be able to warp in more units. Another pylon on that high ground, 5 zealots being warped in right there, just barely enough room. And now Cutter just sitting in his base, both sides macroing up a very, very large army. And really, I think RenieHour should be able to take this game. He has proper scouting information on his opponent, knows about the 5 racks, and so he did build the Twilight Templar Archive. Should be getting some High Templars as well. Let those High Templars gather up some energy. Also getting the level 1 weapons upgrade. So the level 1 weapon upgrade also going to be very, very helpful as well. He's probably wondering what type of trick his opponent is going to be playing. I can't see any trick whatsoever. There is no nuclear arming of the nuclear silo at the Ghost Academy. So at this stage in the game, I'm really just curious at what's going to be happening. We do have a tech lab now being thrown down, so with this tech lab now being thrown down, perhaps a barracks will be placed there and start training up some ravens. Ravens will be very, very strong as well. We do have, I believe, there was one ghost that I saw earlier. I don't see the other ghost though. Yeah, where's that ghost? That ghost is right there. One ghost in that whole entire army, and that's not going to be enough. As the amulets are now being researched, those High Templars will warp in with a full 75 energy. And with full 75 energy, we'll be able to deal significant damage. In comes with another Psystorm and hitting a lot of those Marines and just really deterring any sort of harassment there. So nicely done. Cutter now being forced to pull back with these Marines and Marauders. No weapons upgrade as a Raven now being trained. And now we finally have RenieHour trying to take his natural expansion. Level 2 or level 1 armor upgrades currently being researched, and the amulet research has been completed. So RenieHour, as long as he has the food for it, currently supply locked, will be able to warp in High Templars with Psystorm and just simply roll over his opponent. However, Cutter does have the larger army. RenieHour has the better counter units. What will be happening here as these units now move out very, very slowly? 4 control rows or 4 control groups of units here, plus an observer, as I can select the observer as well. Let's see, almost 2 full control groups plus 5, 48, 53 Marines in this army. Why don't I just use a unit tab? 57 Marines total, as we now have a Raven in the air, quickly destroying that observer once that Raven is revealed. And that's always a double-edged sword, trying to take down and realizing that an observer has been watching you this whole entire time. Marines and Marauders now taking down this nexus over here. In comes an army of Zealots with charge, so those Zealots with charge will be able to engage, but in comes this major fight over here. A lot of Psystorm, and do we have EMP shockwaves? No, massive amounts of Psystorm coming in, and this whole entire infantry ball should get just torn apart. Where is any more Psystorm? No, not merging into the Archon ball. And wow, what a Cutter doing a great job in this fight, trying to avoid those Psystorms, using those medevacs as well, and now going to be in a really, really strong position for part 2 of this replay. Stay tuned for part 2 of this replay between RenieHour and Cutter here on Blistering.